It's time for Tubi Tuesday. That's the recipe for romance. That's the recipe for romance. Alright, you watch this movie, you'll get that stuck in your head. Trust me. Welcome to Tubi Tuesday. We are talking about Bloody New Year. Yes, it's the New Year's episode. And, so, this is a supernatural horror film from 1987. A British supernatural horror film from 1987. Starring nobody. It's a cheaply made horror film. And when I say cheap, I don't mean the sound that a chick makes. Cheap. But we have... The story here is there are 5 friends. Let's remember their name. Rick, his girlfriend Janet, Tom, his girlfriend Leslie, and their friend Spud. They are, messing around at the beach and stuff, and they go to this this fun fair where they run across these 2 hooligans, as they're credited in the credits. Ace and I don't remember the other one. But they are harassing this American tourist woman named Carol. And when the guys try to help her, the carny, whose name is Pa or Dad, comes in and helps the hooligans. And then he's just like chasing them around. It's like, wait, why? He was just in there running. Did those 2 guys get free reign because he's their dad? I don't know, but they chased him into a fun house, and then they're able to bust out in a vehicle somehow with a boat attached. And the next thing we see, they're on a boat. Did I mention there's this low budget? There's a lot of scenes that just kind of cut. Actually, this movie actually begins with a song. The song, that's a recipe for romance. That song is showing a New Year's party from 1959. And, the girl is jump cut to death, apparently. And then we get our characters. Yes. First of all, the music. I like the music. The theme song, I've had it stuck in my head all day. I started watching it this morning before I went to work. And I was waiting for the work van. I watched it in the van at points. And this song, they played a couple times. They played at the beginning. They played during the, when they're on the carnival thing, the little where they go around thing, it's playing on there. And it plays through the end credits. So you're going to get it stuck in your head one way or another. But so, with this American tourist lady named Carol, they are on a boat and they run aground hitting a rock and make their way to an island where they find a hotel called the Grand Island Hotel, and this is where all the fun starts. Now, I just want to say that a lot of this movie doesn't make sense. They try to do stuff that they knew they shouldn't do because they didn't have the budget for it, but they went ahead and tried it anyway. Because they wanted to do it, even though they didn't have the budget for it, they said we'll do it anyway, and it just doesn't work. I'll get to it as I go along, but also, I feel like the script is very weak. Because weird stuff will happen, and then they'll just ignore it so they can keep walking through. Like, they're going through this hotel, weird stuff happens, but then they just keep kind of walking through because we gotta have people find stuff. And sometimes we don't even see what happens to them. So, they get in there, they get to the hotel, and they not check in, but they go in, and they're looking around. And you have Tom and Leslie, and they're in the pool hall, and she goes, I wonder what it would be like doing it on a snooker table. First of all, who the fuck calls it snooker? Maybe it was a British thing, but it's pool or billiards. I never heard it called snooker before. But, yeah, she wants to do it on a table. He's like, Leslie. Okay. And then you have, like, Rick and Janet funneling each other upstairs while Spud tries to grab Carol's ass on the way in, but then, like, he gets separated from the rest of them looking for stuff, and they try to get the power started. Eventually they do get the power started, and then they separate again. Spud is the first victim because they end up in a frickin' theater, and a ghost or something from the movie pops out and kills Spud by scratching him on the face. That's it. That's the brilliant effects work we got in this. A scratch on the face kills Spud. Okay. Then they decide they don't let this deteriorate. They just keep walking around and they decide to separate. While, the three, them, there's a ghost maid that shows up. I don't know. Tom and Leslie end up going to this shack or something, and there's this big green monster that comes out of a table, and like Tom stabs it and falls down, and then another horrible jump cut happens where you just hear and it cuts. We don't know what happened. And Leslie is attacked by a net, but Tom is. Now here's the thing. Leslie is attacked by the creature that came from the table. It takes him 8 seconds for him to do something about it. He just kind of stands there and finally does something. It's like, what? Dude, your girlfriend's getting attacked. Do something. Just stand there. And I know it's not the same guy, but the actor who plays Tom, because of his hairstyle, kind of reminds me of the guy from Cobra Kai. Not William Zabka, but the other guy with the curly blonde hair was on the Cobra Kai team in the Karate Kid. You know what I'm talking about, right? You're not the one that goes, "Little body bag." No, the other guy, the tall, curly blonde guy. He reminds me of him, even though their hairstyles aren't the same. They're just similar. He's not the same guy, but I don't know. I just kept thinking of him. I don't know why. Jump cut away from them. Meanwhile, I think it's Rick and Janet are attacked by canned laughter in the forest. Yep. They do the Evil Dead thing, but there's canned laughter. I don't know if it's supposed to be the ghosts of the people. I don't know. And then, somehow, the hooligans show up. And if I wasn't in the van, I would have called bullshit. So, do you remember the order of the way things happened? They were running from the hooligans, they got in a vehicle, and they kicked off these hooligans. And then we see they're on a boat in the middle of the ocean. And they run aground and just so happen to find this island. They weren't going to this island, they just so happened to find it. I find it absolute bullshit that these three hooligans would find them. The only thing I can think of is that when they were filming, or they were, like, hey, we don't have the ghosts will be enough, but they're like, oh, we don't have the budget to have a bunch of ghosts or hiring more actors, so we'll just have the hooligans show up, even though it doesn't make any sense. But yeah, the hooligans are there. It just, because when the thing happens, it pops out, and here comes Pa. I'm like, no. There's no way they would get there. There's no way they would find that island. It was a miracle they found it. No. It just doesn't make any sense. At all. No. Pa shows up. He throws Rick around when they find Leslie, because Leslie brings them back there because she says something with Tom. They can't find Tom. Pa shows up, or Dad, whatever, throws Rick around, and then punches a hole through Leslie, and she turns into a zombie. starts laughing, and she kills Paul. Yeah, by throwing him out the window. Because they find like if there's a cliff or something, and he throws him out down the cliff or something. And it's like, what? Like, where? Huh? This is just... What is going on here? She's now a zombie woman, apparently. And Tom's nowhere to be found yet. They go back to the hotel, where it's down to 3. We're down to 3, and they're hiding. But a couple of hooligans come in. One of them gets knocked out. The other one gets attacked by Leslie, who comes from the ceiling. Zombie Leslie comes from the ceiling, rips his head, breaks his neck, but twists his head all the way around twice before he kills him, and she kills him. It's like, wait, what? What is this? What? Okay. And then Rick shoots her with a shotgun, and I don't know if this was supposed to happen or it was a bad effect, but it goes. I'm just like, what is this? What? And then he shoots her again off screen, and she dies. And sort of dies, and he chops her arm off with the butt of the rifle, and you can see her arm folded up in the day, sticking out. Her elbow is basically sticking out. You can see it. Stupid. What? Oh, bad effects. That's not the worst effect in this. We'll get to that. So as they go to leave, Tom shows up in the doorway. And right away, I'm sitting there going, no, just leave. Just leave. It's very obvious they don't want you to leave. You couldn't find Tom, and just as you're about to leave and get out of there, he shows up. No, leave him behind and run away. But nope. They're like, oh, we gotta bring Tom. So they bring him all the way into an interior room. It's like there are chairs in the foyer. Just sit there. Nope. They gotta go all the way into an interior room because they gotta be farther away from the door as they could. And then they leave Janet behind. Rick leaves his own fucking girlfriend behind to go run and find the boat that the hooligans came on. So he and Carol, which I might reiterate, is not the girl he came with, go to find. And would anyone else, does anyone else think it would have made more sense if Carol was one of the ghosts? And the hooligans too? Wouldn't it make sense if the hooligans and Carol were ghosts that lured them there? That would then make sense why the hooligans are there, and have Carol be the one that is the zombified instead of Leslie for no reason. Because we never really find out what happened, and they're just dead, I guess. But of course, Tom wakes up, and he's a zombie too. And he goes after Janet. And Janet goes into the elevator tower, the lift, to hide. She chops off his arm, and it kills him, apparently. And she's going up. Hands reach out in a horrible effect because the latex breaks, and grabs her and pulls her in just as Rick opens the door. And from this point on, Rick is the biggest fucking idiot in this movie. Because they're going to leave, but they hear Janet yelling for Rick, and like a fucking dumbass, he runs after her, even though he knows his girlfriend is dead. And when he gets there, there's a bunch of zombified versions of his friends, their friends, and the hooligans. And they're chased around on the snooker table, and then they use the snooker table to get out of there and run towards the boat. But Rick once again proves he's a fucking idiot, because as they're leaving, they're trying to get to the boat, they're trying to go. He hears Janet yelling for him and runs back. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? You know your girlfriend is dead. You know that last time you went where her voice was, it was a trap. So why the fuck would you do it again? And yep, he gets taken by the thing, and then she gets drowned in the boat, pulled through the boat, and yeah. There was an explanation. I just kind of skipped because I wanted to talk about how much of a fucking dumbass Rick was. But when they go in, when they first hear Janet and they go into the ballroom, that's where they get the explanation from the zombie Janet person, saying that they launched a satellite or something in 1959, and it fell on the island, causing a time warp. So they're all stuck there in a time warp, I guess. I don't know. The ending to this film, okay, so here's the thing. I actually enjoyed this film for the most part. And for the most part, I thought the characters were very easy to, to sympathize with. Because, they were just running from hooligans, ended up on an island, and now they're being attacked. And even when even afterwards, they're all trapped there. And as much as I can say that Rick is a fucking dumbass, I think the whole point of that is that they're not going to let him leave anyway. Because, technically she's not on the island. Carol's not on the island, but she still gets pulled through. So I don't think there's actually a way to leave the island once you land there. But I don't know. It's a fun little romp. The movie ends with credits. For some reason, Carol is in a mirror, not with the rest of them. I don't know why. There's a freeze frame and a scream, and then that's a recipe for romance. That's a recipe for romance. But I can't objectively give this. The crappy effects, the sometimes crappy acting, the weird story, the script being a terrible script, but it's cheesy. It's 80s, and there's only one rating I can give it, and that's to say that Bloody New Year is so bad, it's good. So what are your thoughts on Bloody New Year? Let me know in the comments below. Make sure to like, share, subscribe. And guys, this is the last Tubi Tuesday of the year. I'm going to do a video, a New Year's video. Like, hey, New Year's, new Scotty, new stuff. Stuff like that. Talk about what I'm going to do in the new year. Tubi Tuesdays is coming back. I don't know about Stephen King Saturday Night. I've kind of weaned myself away from that. And so it kind of, I don't know. But I'll talk about that in that video. It's coming out maybe January 1st. I gotta be before that because I'm announcing a new series, or the return, a retooling of a series that's going to start on the 1st. So, I don't know. But, till then, thank you for watching. I've been Scotty, and I'll see you in the next one. That's a recipe for romance. That's a recipe for romance.